You're looking at BMW's R18B. It's the bagger built on the R18 platform that was released in 2020. Now, we tested that bike, and while it was pretty good, it sort of didn't sit with me. It was dynamically challenged, it was kind of uncomfortable, and I couldn't really work out where it sat in the range. Is it a volume bike? Is it a hero bike? Well, I think maybe BMW's got it right with this setup. It certainly works so much better as a bagger as far as I'm concerned, and it's really found itself in the range. This represents one of the first production motorcycles in the world to have active cruise control. Now, it's been available in cars for a while, but very challenging to have it work on a motorcycle. So I'm going to put it out in the real world and find out today if it works.
The R18B boasts 67 kilowatts at 4750 RPM, but that's largely academic. People will always refer to horses, but the real truth is that the numbers that matter in a bike of this ilk are boldly written in the torque figures. And well, this thing puts up an impressive chart when it comes to good old-fashioned grunt, like the fact that at anywhere in the rev range, from 2000 to 4000 RPM, you have a stonking 150 Newton meters on hand. That makes for a powerhouse off the bottom. Big horsepower numbers are totally irrelevant in torque figures in that realm. It's a guts factory of a donk, and you can enjoy smoking top-end screamers from the lights or enjoy being a total lazy bones with the gearbox. Prepare to gird your loins on the fiscal front. You'll be shelling out at least 39,310 biggies, and with the impressive array of add-ons and personalisation opportunities offered by BMW, that number's only going to go up, let's be honest. Of course, you can see where the quid goes. Fit and finish and attention to detail on this bike are simply extraordinary. Top marks there. I'd argue that this is the bike BMW should have built in the first place. A high-end, technically advanced hero bike. It's a bloody beauty. So you want to make an incongruous statement? Just jump on your 400 kilogram Bavarian built $40,000 motorcycle, bung on 3RRR that's cranking out country music, and head for Toorak Road, South Yarra Toorak, probably Melbourne's flashiest area. And I was listening to 3RRR and the ABC came on. 4.3. Oh no! I think what we're seeing here with the R18B is when BMW gets the opportunity to refine a model, they generally come out with something a bit specky, and I think that's what's happened here. They brought out the R18 as a hero bike, and they've had a chance subsequently to refine down to this bike and its bigger brother, the Transcontinental, which has even more fruit. And I think it's when BMW gets the opportunity to refine and spend more time and just knock off the rough edges that they come up with something a bit spectacular, and this is a perfect case. I've seen it before, and this is a perfect case of exactly that phenomenon. One of the areas that I'm really impressed with this bike is the low speed fueling. It really is incredibly smooth, and for a bike with, you know, two 900cc pots throwing in a box of fashion, you can sit now, I'm in second gear at 1500 revs at 31 kilometers an hour on a 400 kilogram bike, and it is rock solid, lightweight, smooth, and a lot of that's down to that fueling. Very, very impressed with the fuel injection. Those that may not be aware, the MOTO headquarters are in Melbourne, Australia, Melbourne, Victoria, and our leader has just announced us coming out of lockdown on Thursday. We are the most locked down city in the world, it turns out. Anyway, my point being, this is Yarra Boulevard, and there's people out and about enjoying their lives, and there's a feeling of optimism around the place, and it's just a great thing to be able to jump on a lovely big bike and cruise around today, where there's a bit of optimism around. People are out on their push bikes, walking, exercising. As I say, the road doesn't look like one of the great boulevards. We're probably not on the greatest part of it, but the point is, this is Yarra Boulevard, this is Melbourne, we're coming out of lockdown, and I can't help but be energised being out on a lovely big bike with good news just around the corner. It's not possible to miss that incredibly elaborate dash. You've got your 4 analog instruments that we can talk about, but of course the main player here is that 10.5 inch TFT screen, and even further to that is that little green chappy there. Now interestingly, this is the first BMW with adaptive cruise control, radar operated. I'm actually using it now. We're set at 103 kilometers an hour, which we all know is about 100, and I'm set at the furthest distance it reads that car in front of me. Now I can adjust it here at the toggle switch to make it closer. You'll see we get 1 rung in the ladder less to 1 rung in the ladder less. Now let's come up on this car in front of us, have that at the lowest setting. Now I'm coming up on him now. Let's see what happens. Come back to 98. Now I'll come back up on him again. He's getting out of my way. I'll go with him so we can see. Back we come to 100. Now that's at about, I reckon, 2 car lengths, a little more. I like a little bit more than that, so I'd probably run it about there. Now let's see how we go now. We're now set at that 2 rungs position. This guy's holding 98. I'm set to 103 myself, so if I go outside him now, we should pick up speed because he goes, right, you're not there anymore. And there we go. Now so far so good. I mean, if you're probably pretty used to this technology in cars, but wow, it's a hell of a thing on a motorcycle. And I imagine the development and the safety issues that engineers, designers and all sorts faced in order to do it is quite something. So far I've been very impressed with it. Time will tell. I'm going to take this bike on a longer ride and challenge it with harder situations than that. Confuse it a little bit. We'll come up quickly on this Mustang. Let's have it set up the furthest distance, which is now. Now he's going to come back. Now I'm going to try and confuse it by accelerating while it wants to slow down and heading into a new lane. I want to see how quickly it picks up the new car. I'm now not touching the throttle, the bike is using its cruise. So it's picked up that that car we've just left is not the car in front. Quite issue free there. So there was a bit of a challenge for it. And it's probably past that with flying colours. So far so good. I kind of like this setup, and I know that if I was cutting out a lot of miles, I really like it. It does work. It certainly works, and it's certainly not a gimmick. Wind protection is pretty good. That's a big fairing, and it's a lot of weight kind of north of the top triple clamp. It works all right on this bike. I've ridden other bikes that have that weight forward like that, and they're tippy at low speed. This one's not. It's really been worked out. The dynamics are much better than some of the big baggers from other brands that I have ridden, and recently took one to task. This one, you find out about that stuff at low speed. It's low speed that tells you where you're at with your geometry, and when you've got a bike weighing 400 kilograms, it's very important that everything's working for you, let me tell you. This one works really well. Combined with that nice fueling that I talked about, it makes it quite a pleasure around town. That's a big plus for a big bagger, you know, an 1802cc motorcycle, which is quite easy to use at low speed in traffic. That is quite an achievement. I'm not sure if you can hear that or not, but fairing is quite noisy. Wind comes up through here as it really is good wind protection, but it makes quite a bit of a roar. It's not mind-numbing or overpowering, but it's definitely there. It's not silent. couple of little things to talk about as we amble along the tram tracks in Melbourne. Victoria Street, they call it Little Vietnam here, and for good reason. Vietnamese population has shifted into this area and made it their own to some extent. Fabulous food and stuff to do. Anyway, my point being, this bike comes with footboards. Now, I'm not a massive fan of footboards normally. These ones are really intelligent. In that, the way they're placed, you can actually use them as a peg. The end of the footboard falls in the arch of the boot, so you can sort of use it as a peg anyway, and they're quite small. Very intelligent. Like, it's a footboard I can live with, and I really like it actually. What I'm not so wrapped in is the placement of the gear change. It's fairly easily changed because you just move it up the spline a notch or two, but it's quite close to the foot. Now, I'm not built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, a long way from it, and a lot of my mates are big fellas and they'd struggle to get their boot under that. It's the same with the brake lever on the right hand side. They're a little bit too close. I think it's all about keeping it trim and looking nice. I'd like to see those bigger, but I'm pretty sure you'd get out of it with adjustment as well. Just a little thing, but something that, you know, on a bagger, on a big bike, important. You know, those are the little things that when you spend $39,000 on a motorcycle, those are the little things that you're going to be fussy about, and you have every right to be fussy about.